Captain Sarah Chen was drinking her morning coffee when everything went wrong. The exploration ship Defiant Curiosity shook like a washing machine with a broken leg. Coffee splashed across her uniform as red warning lights filled the bridge. "What the hell was that?" she asked, grabbing her chair as another tremor ran through the ship. Lieutenant Rodriguez looked up from his console, his face pale. "Captain, we just fell through some kind of space hole. The navigation system is going crazy. We're not in Kansas anymore." Chen wiped coffee from her shirt and walked to the main screen. Outside, space looked different. The stars were wrong colors, and something huge was moving toward them. Something very, very huge. "Holy cow," whispered Engineer Patel from her station. "Captain, you need to see this." The main screen zoomed in on the approaching objects. They were ships, but not like any ships humans had ever built. These looked like someone had taken a normal spaceship and then asked a 12-year-old boy to make it more awesome. There were spikes everywhere. Gold trim covered every surface. Some ships had actual lightning crackling around them for no reason at all. "Are those skulls painted on the side?" asked Rodriguez, squinting at the screen. "I think so," Chen replied. "And is that ship shaped like a giant sword?" The crew gathered around the main screen, staring at the approaching fleet. There were hundreds of ships, all decorated with unnecessary details that served no purpose except to look scary. One ship was so covered in spikes that it looked like a space porcupine. "Incoming transmission," Rodriguez announced, trying to keep a straight face. "Put it through," Chen ordered. The main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The creature had purple skin, 6 eyes, and what looked like a crown made of smaller skulls. When it spoke, its voice was so deep and dramatic that it sounded like a movie villain who had been practicing in front of a mirror. "Pathetic creatures of the void," the alien boomed. "I am Grand Admiral Zix Thala of the hegemonic Galactic Empire. You have entered our sacred domain. Prepare to tremble before our infinite might." The bridge went quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then someone snorted. It might have been Patel. The snort turned into a giggle, which spread to Rodriguez, then to the other crew members. Within moments, the entire bridge was trying very hard not to laugh out loud. Chen bit her lip, fighting to keep her voice steady. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Defiant Curiosity. We're explorers from Earth. We didn't mean to intrude on your space. We're just lost." "Lost?" Zix Thala's voice somehow got even more dramatic. "You dare speak of being lost in the presence of the supreme overlord of 1,000 worlds? The master of endless darkness?" Okay, Chen interrupted, unable to hide her smile anymore. "We get it. You're very important. Look, we just need directions back to our own space. Can you help us out?" The alien's 6 eyes blinked, in confusion. This was clearly not the reaction he expected. You do not cower in fear at my terrible presence?" Rodriguez covered his mouth with his hand, but his shoulders were shaking with silent laughter. Behind him, Patel was making faces at her console, trying not to burst out laughing. "Should we be afraid?" Chen asked innocently. "I mean, your ships are very sparkly. Are those real diamonds on your crown?" Zix Thala touched his skull crown, protectively. "These are the bones of my enemies. Each skull represents a world I have conquered." "They look really small," observed Chief Science Officer Watson, leaning forward to study the screen. "What did you conquer? A planet of hamsters?" That did it. The entire bridge erupted in laughter. Rodriguez fell out of his chair. Patel was laughing so hard she was crying. Even the usually serious Security Chief Thompson was grinning. Chen tried to regain control. Sorry, it's just, this is all very dramatic. Do you always talk like you're in a play?" "Play?" Zix Thala's voice cracked slightly. "I am the terror of the galaxy, the darkness that consumes hope. The guy who needs to drink some water," Chen suggested. "Your voice sounds a bit strained. All that yelling can't be good for your throat." More alien faces appeared on screen behind Zix Thala. They were all wearing similarly ridiculous outfits covered in spikes, skulls, and unnecessary decorations. One alien was wearing what looked like a cape made of chains. "Grand Admiral, one of them whispered. Why are they not afraid? I don't. No? Zixthala hissed back, forgetting to use his dramatic voice. They're supposed to be terrified by now. Chen heard this exchange and felt a little bad for them. Look, we're not trying to be rude. It's just that where we come from, people don't usually dress up this much unless they're going to a costume party. Costume party? Zixthala repeated, confused. Yeah, you know, when people dress up like pirates or vampires or evil space emperors for fun. The alien commanders looked at each other uncertainly. This was definitely not going according to their usual script. We are not in costume, Zixthala declared. These are the ceremonial robes of conquest, the armor of infinite power. Right, Chen nodded seriously. And they're very nice, very shiny. Must take forever to polish all those spikes. Patel whispered loudly to Rodriguez. I bet they have a whole crew just for spike maintenance. Silence, Zixthala roared. You will surrender immediately. You will bow before the might of the Empire. You will... Actually, Chen interrupted again. We were hoping you could just point us toward home. We've got work tomorrow. Jenkins is covering my shift, but he's terrible with the quarterly reports. The alien stared at her. This was clearly not how first contact was supposed to go. You have work tomorrow? One of the other aliens asked. Yeah, we're on a mapping mission. Very boring stuff. We catalog star systems and look for interesting rocks. Not nearly as exciting as whatever you guys do. Zixthala seemed to be having some kind of internal crisis. His dramatic voice kept slipping into a normal tone. But you're supposed to be afraid. Everyone is afraid of the Empire. Why? Watson asked genuinely. I mean, you've got impressive ships and everything, but you seem like reasonable people. Bit overdressed maybe, but reasonable. Overdressed? Zixthala touched his elaborate outfit. These are robes of terror. They look heavy, Chen observed. Are you comfortable in all that? Comfort is not the point, Zixthala snapped, then paused. Although, it does chafe a bit around the neck area. Rodriguez finally composed himself enough to speak. Sir, did you want us to prepare our surrender documents? Because honestly, we don't have any. Nobody ever mentioned what to do if we accidentally ran into a galactic empire. You don't have surrender documents? Another alien asked, sounding genuinely puzzled. Nope, Chen replied cheerfully. Should we write something up? I've got a tablet somewhere. The transmission flickered as the aliens had what appeared to be a heated discussion in the background. Fragments of their conversation drifted through. They're mocking us, are they? They seem quite polite. Why aren't they screaming? Maybe they're broken. Chen turned to her crew. Well, this is interesting. What do you think? Should we invite them over for coffee? Do we have enough mugs? Patel asked seriously. I'll check. The supply room, Thompson volunteered. The transmission cleared up as Zixthala returned to the screen, looking somewhat defeated. Humans, you are strange creatures. Thank you, Chen replied. We get that a lot. So, about those directions. Home? 3 hours later, Captain Chen was setting up folding chairs in the cargo bay. The aliens had insisted on sending over what they called a diplomatic terror squad to properly demonstrate their superiority. Chen figured the least they could do was make the meeting comfortable. Rodriguez, did you find the good coffee? She called out. Yes, ma'am. The fancy stuff from Sector 7. And Patel found some donuts in the freezer. Perfect. Nothing says diplomatic meeting like donuts. Engineer Patel was busy setting up her tablet to record everything. Captain, the crew wants to watch this live. Is that okay? Sure, why not? Just keep the commentary family-friendly. The cargo bay doors opened with a hiss, and the diplomatic terror squad marched in. There were 12 of them, all wearing armor that looked like it had been designed by someone who had never actually worn armor. The suits were covered in spikes, chains, and glowing parts that served no obvious purpose. The aliens clanked when they walked. The leader stepped forward, his cape dragging on the floor behind him. I am Sub-Commander Krathnox of the Diplomatic. Terror Squad, we have come to demonstrate the futility of resistance. Chen stood up from her chair and smiled. Hi there, I'm Captain Chen. Would you like some coffee? It's fresh. Krathnock stopped mid-stride. This was clearly not the response he expected. Coffee? Yeah, it's a human drink. Keeps you alert. We've also got donuts if you're hungry. The terror squad looked at each other uncertainly. Their armor made soft clanking sounds as they shifted. We do not require sustenance, Krathnox declared. We are here to fill you with dread. Okay, Chen nodded. But the offer stands if you change your mind. Please sit down. Make yourselves comfortable. Patel whispered into her tablet. The scary aliens are now trying to figure out how to sit in chairs while wearing armor covered in spikes. This is already the best first contact ever. One of the aliens attempted to sit and immediately stood back up with a yelp. His armor had poked him in several sensitive places. Yeah, that armor doesn't look very practical for sitting, observed Rodriguez. Do you guys have a lot of standing meetings? We do not sit in the presence of inferior species, Krathnox announced, though he was eyeing the chairs longingly. Inferior? Chen asked, sipping her coffee. How do you figure? I mean, we just met. Seems a bit early to start ranking people. Krathnox pulled out a device that looked like a cross between a tablet and a medieval weapon. Behold, the sacred scroll of superiority. It clearly states that all species must bow before the Empire's might. Watson leaned forward to look at the device. Is that Comic Sans font? What is Comic Sans? Krathnox asked, confused. It's a font, a type of writing. It's what humans use when we want something to look friendly and non-threatening. The terror squad exchanged worried glances. This was not going according to plan. The sacred scroll is written in the ancient language of terror, Krathnox protested. It looks really friendly, Patel commented, zooming in with her tablet. Like something you'd use for a children's birthday party invitation. Rodriguez nearly choked on his coffee. Oh man, she's right, it totally does look like a birthday invitation. One of the younger aliens raised his hand. Sub-Commander? Maybe we could try the fear demonstration now? Yes, the fear demonstration. Krathnox brightened up. Prepare to witness the terrible battle cry of infinite doom. The 12 aliens formed a circle and began making loud noises. It started as a growl, built to a roar, and ended with what sounded like a group of people, gargling mouthwash while yelling. The humans watched politely. When it was over, Chen started clapping. That was very impressive. It must have taken a lot of practice to get that synchronized. Did it fill you with terror? Krathnox asked hopefully. It was definitely loud, Chen replied diplomatically. Do you do that often? It seems like it would be hard on your throats. Petty Officer Kim had been recording with her personal device. She whispered to Patel, I'm definitely putting this in the ship's meme collection. Maybe add some music. The aliens tried several more demonstrations. They showed off their weapons of psychological destruction, which turned out to be normal energy weapons with extra decorations and dramatic names. They performed their Dance of Inevitable Conquest, which looked like interpretive dancing, in heavy armor. They even tried their Stare of Eternal Judgment, where they all glared at the humans for 5 minutes straight. The humans watched everything with polite interest, occasionally applauding or asking questions about technique. This is all very creative, Chen said after the staring contest ended. You guys put a lot of effort into this. But why do you want people to be afraid of you? Krathnox looked confused. Because that's what empires do? We conquer through fear and intimidation. But why? Watson asked. Wouldn't it be easier to just talk to people? Find out what they need, see if you can work together. Work together? One of the younger aliens asked. What do you mean? Well, like this conversation, Rodriguez explained. We're all here talking, sharing coffee and donuts. Nobody's afraid, nobody's getting hurt. It's nice. The alien who had asked the question looked thoughtful. This is, pleasant. I was expecting more screaming. We don't scream much, Chen said. It's not very productive. Krathnox was looking increasingly frustrated. You're supposed to submit to our authority, declare us your overlords, beg for mercy. That sounds exhausting, Patel commented. Do people actually do that? Sometimes, another alien admitted quietly. though mostly they just run away. That must be disappointing, Chen said sympathetically. You put all this effort into the costumes and the dramatic speeches, and people just leave. It is a bit anticlimactic, the young alien agreed, then quickly looked away when Krathnox glared at him. Kim had been taking pictures of the alien's equipment. Hey, can I ask about this sword? It's got 17 different blades attached to it. How do you use it without cutting yourself? Very carefully, the alien holding it replied, and we go through a lot of bandages. That doesn't sound very efficient, Thompson observed. Wouldn't a simpler design work better? But it wouldn't look as scary, Krathnox protested weakly. Does it need to look scary if it works well? Watson asked. Our tools are designed to be functional first, intimidating second. Your tools aren't intimidating at all, one alien pointed out. That coffee maker looks friendly. It is friendly, Chen smiled. It makes excellent coffee. Want to try some? Despite Krathnox's protests, several aliens accepted coffee cups. They had to remove their helmets to drink, revealing that they looked much less threatening without all the dramatic headgear. This is quite good, one admitted. What's in it? Coffee beans, water, and a little sugar, Rodriguez explained. Nothing complicated. Simple but effective, the alien mused. Like your ship design. No unnecessary decorations, but it works well. Patel looked up from her tablet. The crew wants to know if you guys want to stay for lunch. We're having sandwiches. Krathnox threw up his hands in defeat. This is not how diplomatic terror is supposed to work. Maybe that's okay, the young alien suggested quietly. This is much more comfortable than usual. Chen stood up and refilled her coffee cup. You know what? You're all welcome to stay as long as you like. We can show you around the ship, talk about our cultures, maybe play some card games. Card games? Several aliens asked in unison. Oh yeah, Rodriguez grinned. You guys are going to love poker. Grand Admiral Zixthala was having the worst week of his career. Reports kept coming in about his diplomatic terror squad playing card games with the humans. Even worse, they seemed to be enjoying themselves. Sir, his aide whispered nervously. Sub-Commander Krathnox is asking if he can stay for dinner. Something about pizza night. Zixthala rubbed his temples with 4 of his 6 hands. Pizza night? Apparently it's a human tradition involving bread with various toppings. The terror squad finds it fascinating. Fascinating, Zixthala repeated weakly. They're supposed to be spreading fear, not learning about human cuisine. He stood up from his throne, which was designed to look menacing but was actually quite uncomfortable. Prepare the dreadnought of infinite despair. If these humans won't respond to standard intimidation, we'll show them what real power looks like. Sir, the dreadnought is expensive to operate. The lightning storms alone cost more energy than most planets use in a year. I don't care about the cost, Zixthala roared. My reputation is at stake. 2 hours later, space around the human ship began to darken. The dreadnought of infinite despair was arriving, and it was magnificent in its impracticality. The ship was so large it had its own weather system. Lightning crackled across its surface for dramatic effect. Smaller ships orbited it like moons, adding to the intimidating display. Captain Chen was in the middle of explaining poker rules to 3 aliens when Rodriguez called from the bridge. Captain, you need to see this. The Empire just brought their biggest ship. Chen excused herself and walked to the bridge, followed by her new alien friends who were still holding their playing cards. Holy cow, she whispered, looking at the main screen. That thing is huge. The dreadnought was easily 50 times larger than any ship the humans had ever seen. It bristled with weapons, decorative spikes, and what appeared to be purely aesthetic energy fields. The lightning storm surrounding it was actually quite beautiful, if completely pointless. It's very dramatic, observed Watson, arriving at the bridge with a sandwich. One of the aliens, who had introduced himself as Junior Technician Blip, looked embarrassed. The lightning serves no tactical purpose. It's just there to look scary. How much power does that use? Patel asked, already running calculations on her tablet. About 60% of the ship's total energy output, Blip admitted reluctantly. 60%? Rodriguez nearly dropped his coffee. Just for the light show? The Grand Admiral believes aesthetic intimidation is crucial to maintaining order, Blip explained, though he didn't sound convinced. The main screen flickered as Zixthala's face appeared again. This time he looked even more theatrical, with additional dramatic lighting and smoke effects. "Behold pathetic humans!" His voice boomed through speakers that seemed designed to be as loud as possible. "The dreadnought of infinite despair, the ship that has broken 1,000 worlds, the harbinger of—" "Excuse me," Chen interrupted politely. "Could you turn down the volume a bit? You're really loud." Zixthala paused mid-speech. "What?" "The volume. It's hard to have a conversation when you're yelling." There was a long pause. Then Zixthala's voice returned at a more reasonable level, though he still sounded grumpy about it. "Better?" "Much, thank you. Now, that's quite a ship you have there. The engineering must be incredible. It is the most powerful vessel in the galaxy," Zixthala declared proudly. Watson studied the readouts on her console. "The power signatures are impressive, though I'm curious about the energy distribution. It looks like most of it goes to non-essential systems." "Non-essential?" Zixthala sputtered. "The lightning storms are essential for psychological warfare." "But does psychological warfare work if people aren't psychologically affected?" Chen asked reasonably. Zixthala opened his mouth to respond, then closed it again. This was clearly not a question he'd considered before. "I mean," Chen continued, "it's a beautiful ship, very artistic, but from a practical standpoint, wouldn't you get better results using that energy for shields or weapons?" Blip nodded enthusiastically. "That's what I keep telling my supervisor. We could increase weapons efficiency by 300% if we redirected the lightning power." "Blip!" Krathnox hissed. "Don't give them strategic information." "Why not?" Blip asked innocently. "They're just trying to help." Zixthala decided to try a different approach. "Perhaps you would be more impressed by a demonstration of our destructive capabilities." "Sure," Chen agreed. "That sounds interesting." The dreadnought slowly turned toward a large asteroid nearby. Weapons platforms emerged from hidden compartments. Energy began building around massive cannon arrays. The whole process took nearly 10 minutes and was accompanied by dramatic music that seemed to be playing from somewhere in space. Is that an orchestra?" Rodriguez asked. "The ship has a built-in soundtrack system," Blip explained, "for maximum dramatic impact." Finally, the dreadnought fired. The blast was enormous, completely vaporizing the asteroid in a spectacular display. Of lights and explosions, the humans watched in genuine awe. When it was over, they all started clapping. "That was amazing," Chen exclaimed. "The power output must be incredible." Zixthala looked pleased for the first time. "Finally, you understand the might of the Empire." "Oh, absolutely," Watson agreed. "Though I have to ask, how much energy did that take?" "The full power of 17 fusion reactors," Zixthala replied proudly. Watson did some quick calculations. "Impressive, though you could probably achieve the same result with about 1/3 that energy if you focus the beam better." "What?" Zixthala looked confused. Thompson leaned forward. "Your targeting system disperses the energy too widely. If you concentrated it into a tighter beam, you'd get the same destructive power with much less energy cost. But it wouldn't look as spectacular," protested one of the other alien commanders. "Would that matter if it was more effective?" Chen asked. Blip raised his hand. "I've actually run some simulations on that. We could increase efficiency by 60% with better focusing systems." "Blip!" Krathnox warned again. "What?" "They're right. We waste so much power on unnecessary effects." Zixthala was looking increasingly frustrated. "The effects are not unnecessary. They strike fear into the hearts of our enemies." "But we're not afraid," Patel pointed out helpfully. "We think it's pretty but not scary." "We're actually kind of impressed by the engineering," Rodriguez added. "Building a ship that big must have been incredibly difficult." "It was," Zixthala agreed automatically, then caught himself. I mean, yes, it demonstrates our superior technology. The artificial gravity alone must be a nightmare to maintain, Watson mused. How do you keep it stable across such a large structure? Well, we use a network of gravity generators positioned throughout the ship. Zixathala began, then realized he was having a technical discussion instead of an intimidation session. Before long, several alien engineers were explaining their ship designs to fascinated human scientists. The conversation had completely shifted, from threats to technical specifications. The quantum tunneling drives are particularly interesting, Watson was saying. We've been working on similar technology, but we haven't solved the stability problem. Oh, that's easy, replied an alien engineer. You just need to reverse the polarity every few seconds. Here, let me show you. Captain Chen watched the impromptu science conference with amusement. In the corner, some of her crew members were still playing cards with the terror squad. Someone had started making popcorn. This is not going according to plan, Zixathala muttered to himself. Maybe. That's not such a bad thing, Chen suggested gently. This is actually pretty nice. When was the last time you had a conversation that didn't involve threatening someone? Zixathala thought about it for a long moment. I honestly can't remember. That sounds lonely. It is, he admitted quietly, then seemed to remember where. It is the burden of command. Does it have to be? Captain Chen was starting to feel bad about laughing at the Empire. These aliens were trying so hard to be impressive, and while their methods were ridiculous, she could see they were actually quite smart underneath all the theatrical nonsense. You know what? She announced to the mixed group of humans and aliens who were now crowded onto the bridge. We've been asking you a lot of questions about your technology. Would you like to see some of ours? Grand Admiral Zixathala perked up immediately. You would share your secrets with us? They're not really secrets, Chen shrugged. Most of our stuff is pretty straightforward. Rodriguez, want to show them the fusion drive? Rodriguez grinned and pulled up a holographic display of the ship's engine systems. The aliens crowded around, studying the clean, simple design. Where are the decorative elements? Asked one alien engineer. There aren't any, Rodriguez explained. We design everything to be as efficient as possible. But how do people know it's impressive if it doesn't look impressive? Blip wondered. Because it works really well, Patel said simply. Watch this. She activated the engines remotely. The Defiant Curiosity smoothly accelerated to 1/4 light speed in just a few seconds, then decelerated just as smoothly. The aliens stared at their instruments in shock. How much power did that use? Whispered an alien technician. About 2% of our total capacity, Rodriguez replied casually. 2%? Zixathala's voice cracked. Our ships need 40% power just to reach cruising speed. Well, yeah. Patel nodded. All those decorations create a lot of drag in subspace, plus you're carrying a lot of extra weight. The lightning generators alone must weigh several thousand tons, Watson added helpfully. The aliens exchanged uncomfortable glances. Several of them were taking notes. Want to see our AI system? Chen offered. You have artificial intelligence? Zixathala asked, suddenly interested. We have been trying to develop thinking machines for centuries. Oh, sure. Computer, say hello to our guests. A pleasant, friendly voice filled the bridge. Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the Defiant Curiosity. I'm Arya, the ship's AI. Is there anything I can help you with today? The aliens jumped backward. In surprise, it sounds so normal, Blip whispered. Arya's great, Rodriguez explained. She helps with navigation, system monitoring, research, and she makes excellent suggestions for dinner menus. I also enjoy discussing literature and playing chess, Arya added cheerfully. Would anyone like to hear a joke? You taught your AI to tell jokes? One alien asked in amazement. She taught herself, Chen corrected. We just encouraged her to develop her own personality. But what if she rebels against you? Krathnox asked nervously. Why would I do that? Arya sounded genuinely confused. These are my friends. We work together to explore the galaxy and help people. It's quite fulfilling. Fulfilling? Zixthala repeated faintly. Oh yes. Just last week we helped a damaged freighter repair their engines. The crew was so grateful they taught us some excellent songs from their homeworld. Would you like to hear one? Before anyone could answer, Arya began playing a cheerful melody that had several aliens tapping their feet unconsciously. Doctor, Martinez chose that moment to enter the bridge carrying a tray of fresh cookies. Anyone hungry? I just finished a batch of chocolate chip cookies. You have a food preparation specialist? An alien asked. Oh no, Martinez laughed. I'm the ship's psychologist. I just like baking. It's relaxing. Psychologist? I help people deal with stress, resolve conflicts, work through personal problems, that sort of thing. The aliens looked confused. You have a specialist for feelings? Mental health is important, Chen explained. Happy people work better together. Dr. Martinez helps us stay emotionally healthy during long space missions. Plus, she makes amazing cookies, Rodriguez added, taking one from the tray. This is very different from our approach, Zixthala admitted. Our crews maintain discipline through fear and harsh punishment. That sounds stressful, Martinez observed. How do your people handle the psychological pressure? Handle it? Zixthala looked blank. They endure it, or they transfer to different positions, or they break down. That's horrible, Chen said softly. No wonder everyone runs away from you. You're not just scary to your enemies, you're scary to your own people. An uncomfortable silence fell over the bridge. Several alien officers were staring at their feet. It doesn't have to be that way, Martinez said gently. People can work together without fear. It's actually much more effective. How? Asked a young alien officer. How do you maintain order without intimidation? Well, Chen thought for a moment. We talk to each other. If there's a problem, we discuss it and find a solution everyone can live with. But what if people disagree? Then we keep talking until we find a compromise, Watson replied. Or we vote on it. Vote? Everyone gets a say in important decisions, Rodriguez explained. The majority wins, but we try to make sure the minority's concerns are addressed too. The aliens looked absolutely fascinated by this concept. Would you like to see how we resolve a typical conflict? Chen offered. Arya, could you pull up that supply dispute from last month? Certainly, Captain. The main screen showed a recording of a crew meeting where two departments had been arguing over equipment allocation. The humans watched as their past selves discussed the problem calmly, listened to different viewpoints, and eventually worked out a solution that made both sides happy. No one got punished? Blip asked in wonder. Why would they be punished? Chen replied. They were just trying to do their jobs. The conflict happened because we hadn't clearly defined the equipment sharing procedures. So you changed the procedures instead of punishing the people? Of course. The people weren't the problem. The system was the problem. Several aliens were furiously taking notes. Others were whispering excitedly to each other in their own language. This is fascinating, Zixthala said, and for the first time he sounded genuinely curious instead of theatrical. But surely you have criminals? People who break your rules? Sometimes, Thompson acknowledged. But our focus is on rehabilitation, not punishment. We try to figure out why someone broke the rules and help them find better solutions. Rehabilitation? Helping them become better people, Martinez explained. Punishment might stop someone from doing something bad, but it doesn't teach them how to do something good instead. We have counseling programs, education opportunities, job training, that sort of thing. Chen added. You try to help people who have wronged you? An alien officer asked in amazement. Sure, they're still people. They still have value. The alien officer looked like his entire worldview had just been turned upside down. Want to see our entertainment systems? Patel offered. We've got movies, music, games, books, all sorts of stuff. Entertainment? Zixthala perked up again. Like gladiatorial combat? More like comedy shows and adventure stories, Rodriguez corrected. Here, let me show you some Earth comedy. He pulled up a video of a human comedian telling jokes about everyday life. Within minutes, several aliens were laughing despite themselves. This human is mocking his own species, one alien gasped between chuckles. That's kind of the point, Chen smiled. We laugh at ourselves. It helps us not take everything so seriously. But surely this undermines respect for authority. Not really. Our leaders tell jokes too. In fact, the ability to laugh at yourself is considered a sign of good leadership. Zixthala was watching the comedy video with intense concentration. This is surprisingly entertaining. Want to try telling a joke yourself? Martinez suggested encouragingly. I don't know any jokes. That's okay. Just say something funny about your daily life. Zixthala thought hard for a moment, then said hesitantly, Sometimes I practice my dramatic speeches in the mirror, and my pet worry beast hides under the bed because my voice is too loud. The humans laughed appreciatively and several aliens chuckled too. That's actually pretty funny, Rodriguez grinned. You have a pet worry beast? It's supposed to be intimidating, Zixthala said defensively, but he was smiling a little. But mostly it just eats too much and sheds on my robes of terror. More laughter filled the bridge. Zixthala looked surprised, but pleased by the positive reaction. See? Chen said warmly. You're funnier than you thought. Maybe being scary isn't the only way to get people's attention. The crisis began when Admiral Zixthala received an angry message from the Supreme High Council of Infinite Darkness. The hologram showed 5 extremely irritated aliens wearing even more ridiculous outfits than Zixthala's. Grand Admiral, the lead counselor shrieked. What is the meaning of these reports? Your crews are fraternizing with the enemy, playing games, sharing meals. This is unacceptable. Captain Chen, who happened to be on the bridge discussing engine modifications with Zixthala, watched the conversation with interest. They are not the enemy, Zixthala replied, sounding tired. They are explorers. They mean no harm. They have corrupted your officers with their strange ideas about cooperation and efficiency, another counselor accused. Sub-Commander Krathnox filed a report requesting better chairs for the crew quarters. Junior Technician Blip submitted a proposal to remove decorative spikes from the ship corridors because they are safety hazards. Those are actually good suggestions, Zixthala said quietly. The counselors gasped in horror. You have been contaminated by human weakness, the lead counselor declared. You will destroy their vessel immediately, or we will send the Terror fleet to do it for you. And if I refuse, Zixthala asked, then you will be stripped of rank and exiled to the prison planet of endless suffering. Chen stepped forward. Excuse me, but is the prison planet of endless suffering as dramatically over-designed as everything else you guys build? The counselors stared at her in shock. How dare you interrupt a High Council session? Sorry, I was just curious. Is the suffering actually endless, or is that more of a marketing thing? The suffering is very real, a counselor snapped. But endless? Chen pressed. Because that seems impractical. I mean, eventually you'd run out of things to make people suffer about. The counselors looked confused. They had clearly never considered the logistics of endless suffering. Anyway, Chen continued, before you make any hasty decisions about destroying us, maybe you should talk to your crews. They might have some opinions about that. She nodded to Rodriguez, who opened a channel to all the Empire ships in the area. Attention all Empire vessels. This is Captain Chen of the human ship. Your leaders want to destroy us. How do you all feel about that? The response was immediate and overwhelming. Please don't hurt the humans, came a voice from the dreadnought. They taught us poker. The humans are our friends, called another voice. They showed us how to make coffee. They have excellent cookies. Captain Chen helped me fix my armor so it doesn't poke me anymore. The communication channels filled with similar protests from dozens of alien crew members. The High Council looked increasingly alarmed. This is mutiny, the lead counselor shrieked. This is democracy, Chen corrected. Your people are expressing their opinions. We do not allow opinions in the Empire. Well, maybe you should start, suggested Dr. Martinez, who had joined the conversation. Suppressing people's thoughts and feelings is very unhealthy. We maintain order through discipline and fear. How's that working out for you? Watson asked innocently. Because from what I've seen, your people seem pretty miserable. Misery builds character. Actually, research shows that happiness and psychological well-being significantly improve performance, creativity, and loyalty, Martinez replied. Fear-based management creates stress, reduces productivity, and leads to high turnover rates. Turnover rates? People quitting their jobs, Chen explained. How many of your officers transfer out of the Empire every year? The counselors exchanged uncomfortable glances. Apparently, this was a sore subject. That information is classified, one of them muttered. I bet it's a lot, Patel observed. Your whole system seems designed to make people want to leave. By now, more and more voices were joining the conversation from the Empire ships. What had started as a few protests had become a full-scale discussion about working conditions, job satisfaction, and quality of life in the Empire. This is chaos, a counselor wailed. This is a conversation, Chen said firmly. Maybe you should listen to what your people are telling you. Admiral Zixathala had been quiet during most of this exchange, but now he stepped forward. High Council, he said, his voice calm and lacking its usual dramatic flair. I have served the Empire for 30 years. In all that time, I have never seen our crews as happy and motivated as they have been these past few days. Happiness is irrelevant, the lead counselor snapped. Is it? Zixathala asked. Our efficiency reports show a 20% improvement in all areas since the humans arrived. Equipment maintenance is up. Navigation accuracy is up. Even combat readiness is up, despite the fact that no one is afraid anymore. The humans have poisoned your mind with their weakness. If this is weakness, then maybe weakness is better than strength, Zixathala replied. I would rather command happy, efficient crews than terrified, incompetent ones. The counselors were now shouting at each other, their carefully maintained authority crumbling as more and more voices joined the rebellion. Chen stepped forward again. Look, instead of arguing, why don't we try to work this out? I'm pretty good at mediating disputes. You? The lead counselor scoffed. What could a mere human possibly know about governing a galactic empire? Well, I've managed to keep a crew of 200 people happy and productive on a small spaceship for 2 years. How hard could a galactic empire be? It's just a scaling problem. The next 6 hours were the most intense negotiation session Chen had ever experienced. She treated the whole thing like a workplace dispute between management and employees. She listened to complaints from both sides, identified the core problems, and slowly worked toward solutions. The breakthrough came when Junior Technician Blip was allowed to present his efficiency reports to the High Council. His data showed that the Empire could reduce operating costs by 60%, while improving quality of life for everyone, simply by eliminating unnecessary decorative elements and focusing on practical design. But if we remove the intimidation factor, a counselor protested, how will we maintain control? Maybe you don't need to control people, Chen suggested. Maybe you can just work with them. Work with them? Like partners, equals, people who choose to cooperate because it benefits everyone. The concept seemed to blow several alien minds simultaneously. By the end of the day, they had worked out a compromise. The Empire would restructure itself as the Galactic Cooperative, a much less dramatic name, but one that better reflected their new approach. They would keep some of the cool aesthetic elements that people actually liked, but eliminate the impractical ones. Most importantly, they would start treating their crews as valued team members rather than expendable subordinates. Admiral Zixathala was renamed Regional Coordinator Zixathala, a title he complained about constantly because it sounded boring, but secretly, Chen noticed, he seemed much more relaxed without all the pressure to be constantly terrifying. So what happens now? Chen asked as they finalized the agreements. Now we learn, Zixathala replied. We learn how to work together, instead of ruling through fear. We learn how to build ships that are both beautiful and functional. We learn how to tell jokes. That last one might take some practice. Rodriguez grinned. I have been practicing, Zixathala said proudly. Listen to this. Why did the space captain refuse to use the automatic pilot? Why? Chen asked, trying not to smile. Because he wanted to stay in control. Zixthala delivered the punchline with enthusiasm. There was a moment of silence, then polite chuckling from the humans and genuine laughter from the aliens. That was, actually not bad, Chen admitted. Really? Zixthala beamed. I have 17 more. Maybe save them for later, Chen suggested diplomatically. 6 months later, Chen received a message from Zixthala. The Galactic Cooperative was thriving. They had redesigned their ships to be more efficient while keeping the dramatic flair that people enjoyed. Crew satisfaction was at an all-time high. Several new species had asked to join the cooperative after hearing about their collaborative approach. Most importantly, Zixthala's joke-telling had improved significantly. We are planning a celebration, his message said. A festival of cooperation and friendship. Would you and your crew like to attend? There will be excellent food, cultural exchanges, and a comedy competition. Chen showed the message to her crew. A comedy competition? Rodriguez asked, grinning. We have to go. I want to see Zixthala try stand-up. Plus, Patel added, someone needs to teach them about timing and delivery. It's settled then, Chen announced. Set course for cooperative space. We have some aliens to visit. As the Defiant Curiosity changed course toward their new friends, Chen reflected on the strange turn their mission had taken. They had set out to map unknown star systems and had ended up accidentally reforming a galactic empire through the power of friendship and constructive criticism. You know, she said to Arya, this turned out much better than I expected. Indeed, Arya replied cheerfully, though I do hope they have better material for the comedy competition. Zixthala's jokes are improving, but he still needs work on his timing. We'll help them with that too, Chen smiled. After all, that's what friends are for.